Hello everyone, it's Andrea and welcome to this edition of Talks in the Car. We hear a lot in the church world about faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith can move mountains. We talk a lot about stepping out on faith. But what exactly is faith, and are we actually stepping out on it? Faith is the belief that God is, God can, God does, without actually having tangible evidence that He can, He will, and that He does. Faith is trusting God when we don't understand, when we don't see, when we don't feel, when we don't in our physical bodies experience what is going on. Faith tells us that we trust God above all of our senses. We trust God beyond what we see. We trust God beyond what we hear. We trust God even beyond what we may speak, what others may speak. We trust God beyond the how, the where, the when. We trust God. And so sometimes when we're going through situations, when we are trying to work through situations, when we are trying to understand situations, it becomes necessary as an act of faith to do things that will remind, for lack of a better word, or let God know that, yes, God, I don't see the end result here, but I trust you and I know that you are going to prove yourself in this situation. And so I'm in a place right now where I'm finding myself questioning, what is my next move? I'm on this game piece. I'm on a chessboard, if you will, and trying to study the board and trying to figure out, okay, where does my pawn need to move next? Where do I need to go on the chessboard? And I don't see what's ahead of me. I see where I'm at. I see what's going on in the middle of what is happening, but I don't see further down the line. And so the question becomes, God, what do I do in this right now that will show you that I have faith in you, that will show you that I trust you, that proves not only to God, but proves to myself that He is the one who I am allowing to order my steps. And so this morning, as I was getting ready to come to work, and I had decided last night that I was going to get up early and get to my job a little bit earlier and kind of get a head start on some things, it came to me an act of faith that I can do in order to prepare for what I know God is getting ready to do for me. And that is the key right there. Sometimes we may not see what's ahead. We may not know what is coming down the road, but it is necessary to move forward in acts, in thoughts, in words, in areas that will show that, God, I trust you. So the question becomes, what are you believing God for? What are you questioning God about? What are you asking God for? What are you believing God for? And after you answer those questions, now the next step is, what are you doing to show God and to show yourself that you truly trust Him, that you are putting the situation in His hands, and that you are trusting where He leads you. We put stuff in God's hand, and then God is able to lead us and direct us to the next step and to the next phase. And so even if it's a small step is better than no step of faith. A small step is better than standing still and being in fear and being in a place where you are doubtful in God's ability. Faith is not an easy act. We are beings who like to know. We like to be in the know. We like to see. We like to understand. We like to comprehend. We like to figure out. And faith puts us in a situation where we are vulnerable to ourselves. We become vulnerable to God because we don't necessarily know what God is going to do. And sometimes the path of faith is a longer one than we want. It takes patience. It takes putting ourselves in a place where we are uncomfortable. But in that uncomfortableness, there is that belief that, God, I still trust you. It's hard, God. I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's going to happen in the process of my faith, but I still trust you enough to place myself there, knowing that at the end of the day, your will for my life, your best for my life will be manifested. So I encourage you today that as I take this faith walk, that you will take your own faith walk. Look at your life. Look at what's happening. Look at what you're looking for God to do. Look at what you are praying for God to manifest in your life, and then take a step, take a leap, take a walk of faith, and trust God, knowing that the end result you may not see, knowing that the end result you may not understand, but in all of that, one thing you do know, and one thing that I know, is that God will, God can, God has, and God will continue to. And we can trust God because why? God has a history of doing and being all that we need him to be. God has a history of coming through. God has proven himself. And sometimes it's hard to remember what God has already done when you're in the middle of something. But if we take the time to relax, exhale a little bit, and to remember the things that God has brought us through. Remember the things that God blessed us with. To remember the things that God brought us out of, the things that God brought us to. That will assist us in our faith. That will fortify our faith. God, if you did it back then, if you did it last year, if you did it last week, if you did it yesterday, you can do it today. I may not see the manifestation today, but I know manifestation is coming. Trust God. Trust God with me. Let's walk this path of faith together. Let's believe God together. Let's be in a place together where we know that what God will, God has, and God will continue to do in our lives. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you next time on Talks in the Car.